Hey there, West Michigan meteorologist Phil Haney here. It is Friday night. You made it to Friday. Congratulations. It's the weekend, at least for most of us. Not really me. It's my hump day, weirdly. But that's because I work Saturday, Sundays. But good evening, everybody. There is the full moon on the live look from Allegan as we start things off. And what's kind of fun is I can actually zoom in here in just a second. I'm going to let a few folks trickle in, but hopefully everyone enjoying their Friday night. Of course, it was a little bit on the hot side today. Hopefully that heat not getting to you too bad. So you're going to see this camera adjust, and then watch this. We're going to zoom in really tight on that moon. We're going to see how this looks. I've never actually tried this, fun fact. So with this new camera, it's kind of a learning experience for me too. But slowly but surely, we're going to hone in on this thing and see what we can do with this camera. I'm just curious how well-defined we can see the face of the moon. I don't think we're going to make out the face too well, but that looks pretty good. I'm pretty pumped about that. Really tight shot of the full moon. Bright in Allegan. It almost looks like the sun. It's so bright. Oh, that was so cool. Wait. Okay, wait. That is so cool that we got that shot right there. Oh my gosh. I was just freaking out about that. Did you guys see that? That was like it looked like a family of geese, a flock of geese, if that's what they're called. Or is it a gaggle of geese? I can't remember. Anyways, goose expert, help me out. There's some more. Wow, that was such a cool shot, though. I'm going to have to go back for the recording of that. All right, so there is Allegan. We're going to zoom back out in a second. But, yeah, pretty quiet night out there, allowing me to talk about the full moon, which is rising in the southeastern sky. That is looking southeast, and now the camera is resetting. And I'm going to have to still pull that up a little bit farther north so we can kind of see the full moon, which is the main show we want to see. But anyways, tonight's full moon, fun fact, is called the sturgeon moon. So every full moon each month gets a different name. Sturgeon, they can live like over 100 years. It's big old fish that call the Great Lakes home. I've never caught a sturgeon, although that would be pretty rad. But anyways, I don't really exactly know the folklore, to be honest. I know Jeff wrote an article on it. I think sturgeon are just like maybe active this time of year. I don't really know. I don't name the moons. I just relay the message. But yeah, quiet night out there. That's Old Iron Bridge. Like I said, that was a pretty fun look at the moon just a second ago. Is that flying V of geese? I don't know what the plural term of geese is. Is it a flock of geese, a gaggle of geese, a grouping of geese? I don't know. Good evening, Shannon. Good evening, Jeanette. Good evening, Candom. Good evening, Cynthia. What's up, Leslie? Good evening, Lynn. Hello, hello, and Jesse. Hello. Okay. So satellite and radar, can't make much out of satellite right now because it was visible satellite, and now we're losing the daylight. It is fading. So this is live Doppler radar. We did have some little spotty downpours earlier. I'm going to loop this back 3 hours now. You'll be able to see some of that activity that happened earlier this evening primarily. So parts of Allegan County were kind of lucky. Got a few little downpours there. Why is this being super laggy? Hold on. So there's one of them kind of dissipating, forming. That was just east of Fenville. Then we had a few other little guys flare up, not far from like Hudsonville. And then those since kind of weekend. This was what I believe was a little bit of a lake breeze today. So almost acts as like a little cold front moving away from Lake Michigan. And it can be kind of an area to watch for developing clouds and sometimes those spotty downpours. All right, temperatures and heat index, even at this hour, it is still 83 in Kalamazoo, 86 as the feels like. It still feels like 88 in Allegan. So the heat index is not much of a factor this hour of night. But that being said, the dew point is still high. So the dew point has been hovering right around 70 degrees since earlier this afternoon, which is higher than it was yesterday, which signals today is a more humid day, which hopefully you probably picked up on that if you were out and about. So really quickly, let's just give you the times of that sturgeon moon, which we showed you to start, which was, like I said, I'm freaking out because that was so cool, that shot. It was a tight shot of the moon, and then all these geese went by. Dan Miller in Yankee Springs. What's up, Dan Miller in Yankee Springs? And Oh man, Candom, it's you and your wife's 30th anniversary. I need a great and perfect steak places. Kalamazoo Portage. Thank you so much. Steak. I'll let other people chime in because if I say somewhere, then I'm like plugging somewhere. But there's some good ones. I'm not a bit. Man, for a 30th, you got to go big, like you're talking, Candom. I like that idea. I'm not someone that goes out for steak on the reg, mainly because I am too cheap. But hopefully some folks can give you some good suggestions there. And happy anniversary one day early. Debbie, good evening. I hope you're staying cool as well. All right, so unfortunately, the dew point is going to be hanging out in those upper 60s, low 70s the next several days. Also, I totally skipped over tonight's moon. So the moon is rising currently in the southeast. It already is over the horizon, as we saw. It will set tomorrow just before 7 a.m. in the southwestern sky. And again, it will peak technically. It'll look full right now, but it technically reaches its max illumination at 3:54 in the morning. It'll appear full tonight and tomorrow night, though. So if you missed the show tonight, you'll see it again tomorrow. Muggy meter staying very humid these next several days. Tomorrow, when we factor in the humidity, it's going to be very similar to feel how it did today. I accidentally clicked. It'll feel up around the middle to upper 90s during the mid to late afternoon. That's with an air temp getting likely into the lower 90s briefly, probably between about 2 and 5 p.m. I know a lot of us really want some rain because it has been pretty dry as of late. Unfortunately, I don't really think we're going to see much this weekend. Fortunately, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the best chance for a shower or storm on Sunday is mainly, I think, well northwest of the majority of our area, possibly Muskegon northward. But then you can see on Monday that green starts to kind of fill in maybe a little bit more. That's why we have this 30%. By Tuesday and Wednesday, most models are showing a slow-moving front, kind of bringing some showers and thunderstorms back to the picture, especially on Tuesday. So you'll see that they're highlighted by our 60%. I think Tuesday is the most likely day to see some rain. Now, that being said, some of the models don't show like widespread soakings of rainfall as far as what we could use. Now, any storms on Tuesday could produce some localized heavy rain. So if you find yourself under one of them, it's probably going to be pouring rain, but it's not likely to last all that long. Ignore what I just showed you because that was for this evening and I forgot to zoom ahead. But this is the National Blueberry Festival. Fun fact is going on right now in South Haven. I think it kicked off yesterday or the day before. And they got great festivities out there this weekend. It's always a good time. They got like a pie eating contest, I think tomorrow. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But it's always just a great time to celebrate Michigan's favorite fruit. That's debatable, but one of my favorite fruits in Michigan, probably my favorite Michigan fruit. Yeah, as far as fruit, I think blueberries got to do it for me. Strawberries are also very good, but blueberries for me scream like Michigan summer. And I think that's why, I could be wrong, but I think that's why they have a whole festival dedicated to it. But we'll be up around 90 even at the lakeshore. Fortunately, I think the lake swimming conditions should be pretty favorable. So that's always great when we got a lot of tourists coming into these lakeshore towns. Always concerning when we see like breezy weather developing in time with the weekend or a big weekend where we know a lot of people from out of state, out of town are going to be flocking there. So it's good to see. Now, the only catch with that is I think well north, like up to, I would say north of Muskegon, with that southwest wind or south wind at about 10 to 15, that is enough to sometimes pile up some waves. We're talking north of Muskegon. So if for some reason you're heading to like Ludington tomorrow, Silver Lake tomorrow, trying to think some other areas. Those spots may have some dangerous swimming, but not in our main core, South Haven, Holland, Saugatuck beaches, Grand Haven, I don't think will be too bad. You might get some yellows maybe south of the pier in Grand Haven, but I think it'll be primarily green pretty much all weekend long. But a nice little breeze tomorrow to kind of take the edge off slightly. But overall, it is going to be hot and humid through the weekend, both at the lakeshore and inland. Tonight will fall to only 70, a few clouds, warm and muggy. 92, again, will feel hotter tomorrow. wind out of the southwest at about 10 to 15 throughout much of the day. Looking ahead, highlighting Tuesday as the main day to see, I think, our best storm chance. Doesn't really look to be severe, by the way. I think just some scattered garden variety showers and storms off and on during the day on Tuesday. Some may linger into early Wednesday and possibly Thursday too, but you can see the chances there. You know, I consider anything over like a 50%, your more widespread rain chances, right? Anything below that, especially like a 30%, is kind of spotty, if you will. So overall coverage of rain on Monday, there's going to be a lot of you that still miss out on rain. I'm hoping more of you see the rain on Tuesday because, again, we do desperately need it, especially in parts of our area affected by drought right now, which I can show you really quick momentarily. Let's do a little tangent. Ignore that. I didn't know that graphic had that little note on there. Although, yeah, that's not really accurate. That was from a few weeks ago. Where is my drought monitor? There it is. Okay. So let's zoom out. This is interesting. So look at the west. Parts of the west have pretty significant drought. Colorado up into Wyoming, Montana, northern Idaho. So yeah, that's not the only reason why, but there are some wildfires out west. There were some in, I believe, Arizona/New Mexico. There's been a few, I believe, in California as well. So it's pretty dry out west right now. You look at the central U.S. and the eastern U.S., not nearly as bad. But let's take a look closer to home, just show you. So looks like now there's severe drought up towards Saginaw and the Saginaw Bay. It also looks like they've upgraded, possibly. Yeah, wow. That's pretty wild. I did not see that. I didn't catch that. So Holland technically in a severe drought as well, which is, I'm not exactly positive. I think that's like a 1 in every maybe 5 to 10 years. Basically that yellow area, the abnormally dry, or the yellow is not technically drought. The tan area is moderate drought or the start of drought, which is maybe once every few years kind of a deal. And then once you start getting into the severe or certainly the extreme, that's like one in every maybe like 5 to 10 years. And then the kind of rarity of each is a longer time frame. It's kind of like floods when they say like a 1 in 100-year flood or whatever like that. Drought can also be quantified kind of like that. It's not exact. It's obviously not like, oh, you saw your moderate drought. Well, you're not going to get drought again for the next 5 years. It's never a guarantee, but it's like on average, that's about how often they happen. So anyways, that's it. Let's read through your comments. Also, let's check out Allegan again. I bet you could use some rain in Hudsonville, Molly. Molly, there was actually some little spotty showers. I don't think they must have missed you, but they were not far from Hudsonville a little bit earlier. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, like maybe 4 spots today. Like there was one location up in Kent County that I'm blanking on right now earlier that saw some rain. Smyrna, I'm not positive how it's pronounced, up in Ionia County. They also had a brief little shower. And anyways, yeah, everyone's saying how much we need the rain. I know I have like some dead patches in my grass. I'm not happy. I have a sprinkler system at my house, luckily. The only problem is a few of my sprinklers, like the water pressure is not very good. So I don't know if I have a leak. Ugh, it's the worst. So yeah, a few of my spots of my yard like don't get very good water. So it's very maddening as someone that is particular about their lawn that I have some spots that don't look too good. But yeah, it's a beautiful full moon view over Allegan. One thing I will also add is there's a very low chance that we could see the northern lights, especially northern Michigan. I'm not really, I always err on the side of like not hyping up the northern lights because typically for most of us to be able to actually see them, you have to have a pretty epic geomagnetic storm event for lower Michigan. Now it can be like a lower end to see them on camera, sometimes if you have pretty ideal conditions. But for like the average person, I always hesitate to like overhype it because I don't want to make it seem like, oh, the Northern Lights are going to happen tonight. And that's never really a guarantee ever. But there's a decent chance, especially Northern Michigan, the UP tonight. If you know anyone or if you happen to be traveling up there, there is a good chance of the Northern Lights popping off tonight. So we'll be watching that. If for some reason it overperforms and we start getting reports this far south, I'll obviously post something about that because that would be pretty cool. All right. I'm going to leave you guys with a zoomed in view. Let's see if we can catch some more geese flying by. Let's see. Let's see my camera skills. How centered did I get that moon? Probably not very much. Nope. Let's see. Got to pull up this camera. There she is in all her glory. The sturgeon moon, y'all. Come on, focus. Focus for me. Show me love. It's an Austin Powers reference. Okay. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thanks, Carla. Thanks for hanging out. And Tyra, I'm doing well. Tyra Mitchell. And yeah, it's pretty quiet forecast this weekend. It's just hot. And stay hydrated these next few days. And that's the full moon. So if you're superstitious, watch out tonight. Don't trip. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. Okay. You guys have an amazing weekend too. I'm going to sign off. I'll be on the ARC West Michigan at 10. That's channel 3.2 over your airwaves, I think. And then I'll be on channel 3, the OG, at 11. And then this weekend too. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. Happy full moon.